Videolanders? I'm Brad, and this is...
Greetings, rebel scum. I am Darth Regnid, a disciple of the Dark Brotherhood. Welcome to the Dragon's Lair.
We're live from the Dragon's Lair. So what shirt you got on today?
Death.
Can you kind of pop up a little bit like that so they can see it? The Grim Reaper, I love it. All right, man. Well, today's episode, we're just going to dive right in and we're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars Rebels. I believe it's episode 10. It's called Visions of Hope. And this kind of comes off of one of the older episodes, Rise of the Old Masters. Rise of the Old Masters, they introduced a character named Gal Travis. He's a senator that's in exile, and he sends out transmissions. He's an Imperial senator. He sends out these transmissions, and he's trying to get rebels, Jedi, to... he sends secret messages to them, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And he gives information, kind of pumps up the Rebel Alliance, you know. And he's just that guy out there, the spokesperson for the good guys. And so we find out about him in Rise of Old Masters, and that's probably about, what do you say, 5-6 episodes ago?
About that.
Something like that. And so today is a vision of hope. And we start out the episode with Ezra outside of the Ghost, and he's finally getting some overdue training, don't you think?
Oh, yes.
From Kanan. You know, he's outside the Ghost, and there's a scene that is very reminiscent of, I think, A New Hope, where Luke Skywalker is on the Millennium Falcon. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he's deflecting the blaster shots, you know, from that drone that's in the air. And, you know, Han Solo's giving Luke Skywalker a hard time. It reminds me of that scene right there. You know, Ezra's outside the Ghost, and I think Zeb's out there. You have Sabine and Chopper. I think that was about it, right? And then
That's about it.
And then Kanan, he's out there giving his 2 cents, you know, on the training.
But he's in the background.
Yeah, he's in the background, you know. And Ezra, he's deflecting blaster shots. They have all their rifles and everything set on stun. And he's out there and he's you know, trying to deflect. He's doing a horrible job deflecting these shots. And then all of a sudden, do you remember what happens?
Ezra gets a vision.
He gets a vision. And I thought that was a really cool scene, didn't you?
Yeah.
And so Ezra, he kind of trances out, and there's a blur, and you see his lightsaber kind of, you know, you don't know if he's deflecting or quite what he's doing. It's zooming in, and he has a vision of stormtroopers chasing him. He has a vision of them meeting this senator that's in exile, this Gal Travis.
Yeah, all right.
And he comes back from this vision, and all of a sudden, you notice that he's deflected every single shot that has come after him. You know, so this kid...
And hit his target.
Yeah, he hit his target. There's this little stormtrooper helmet on the side. You know, he hits that. And he's kind of beside himself that he hit every single target, you know, that was coming for him.
He didn't realize what he did.
Yeah, he didn't realize what he did. And so that was a really cool scene. I really enjoyed that. And then Kanan, I don't think he believes him at first, does he? About the vision that he had.
No, he doesn't.
And so Hera comes outside, and Hera tells him about...
the transmission's getting ready to start.
Yeah, the transmission's about ready to start from Gal Travis. So they all approach, and in these transmissions that Gal Travis is sending out, he tells whoever's listening kind of where he's going to be.
He gives them clues.
He gives them clues. And so if you're familiar with the planet that they're on, which is Lothal, he gives certain landmarks within his transmission that would give you a clue. And so they kind of know where Gal Travis is going to be. And he's pretty much a hero of the would-be alliance.
You're right.
You know? So they want to meet up with this guy, you know?
Well, they actually want to save him. Get him out of there.
Yeah, they want to save him. And so they kind of send Ezra into Lothal to get some inside information from his friend Zer. And do you remember Zer from one of the older episodes?
Right.
They were in the recruit class together. He's kind of a good Imperial. And he's rising within the ranks. And what do you think about Zer? Do you think Zer is going to be always kind of in the middle, or do you think Zer will eventually become more Imperial as time goes by?
I think he'll become more Imperial.
Yeah, I think he will too. Especially because he finds out that Ezra lied to him in this episode. He finds out that, him and Ezra were friends. Ezra, tells him that he lied about his name. But Zer gives him a little bit of inside information that they know where the senator is. And there's some troops that are...
amassing.
Amassing around this old Senate building on Lothal. And so he goes back to the Ghost and he tells his crew, he tells Kanan and Sabine and Hera, everything that he's learned from his friend. There was an odd scene though that I thought where he's talking to Zer, and some stormtroopers come around, and it's part of his vision that some stormtroopers would be chasing them, and he runs behind some crates in this back alley, and the stormtroopers follow. You remember that?
Right.
And so the stormtroopers stop, and they don't even look behind any crates. They just kind of turn the corner, and they're like, well, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that made no sense to me. I think that's one of the worst scenes I've seen in a while. Where, if I was a stormtrooper, something about the Clone Wars that I didn't appreciate was, the clones were just, not the clones, but the battle droids were dumb, And that, okay, I can get that they're dumb, but the Clone Wars, they were really dumb. Stormtroopers, I understand that they're cannon fodder, but there's probably some good troopers, They go around and they recruit, these people from all over the place. And some of them might be old clones, but there's probably some good troopers. These guys didn't give a damn.
Nope.
They turned the corner and...
He's not there. Let's go.
Yeah, he's not there. Let's go. They didn't look up. If they did, it was real briefly. But they were probably, 10 feet from some crates.
About that.
And if I was Ezra, I would have just ducked down and they wouldn't even have seen me. They don't even go over to the crates to kind of look down and see if he's there. Just like, screw it.
Yep.
I'm done. So he goes back to the Ghost and he tells the Ghost, what he's learned from his friend. That, the troops are amassing over by the old Senate building. So they go together. They kind of check out the place. Mm-hmm. They finally get in. And what do they see in the old Senate building?
They see the senator.
They see the senator.
Guarded with 2 stormtroopers.
Yeah, 2 droids. Those are cool droids, though. Didn't you think? I've never seen any kind of droids like that.
Nope.
Kind of those blue ones. Mm-hmm. Those were his personal droids, I believe. Kind of like some bodyguard droids, maybe. I'm not for sure. I have to look into that. But something that was really cool was they meet up with him, and he's kind of surprised just to see just a few of them. He didn't think anybody got the transmission. And all of a sudden, we have... Stormtroopers
coming out of the walls.
And Agent Callus, And so we have a nice little ambush. And so what the Imperial ambush doesn't know is that Zeb and Sabine are up in the rafters. So they kind of save the day. They get some blaster fire, some cover fire, and they get the senator out of there. They escape into the sewers, and they think they have it made. They got the senator, and the senator's asking some kind of weird questions in the sewer. He's asking them, are you the only ones? What all's out there? And Hera, something you pointed out was Hera was kind of taken back by some of his questioning and just by his actions in general.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious. And so they go deeper into the sewers. And he kind of lags back a little bit, almost like giving the Imperial troopers
time to catch up.
And we find out by these sewer blades, Hera gives him a blaster pistol. And is like, cover us while we get this fan to stop so we can go through and escape the Imperials. And he pulls the gun on him. And you find out right then...
Traitor.
He's a traitor. He actually has worked this entire time for the Empire. That he's actually...
luring rebels to his snare.
Yeah. And that's dirty as hell, isn't it?
Yep.
That's dirty as hell. So
good guy.
Yeah, he's luring these people... rebels, he's luring, Jedi to their death. So this guy, he speaks out against the Empire, but for the whole time, he's actually a big part of what the Empire is doing.
Yep.
And that has to shake the rebels to their core.
Especially Ezra.
Especially Ezra, because Ezra put a lot of faith in this guy. And to find out that this guy who is the radio star of the galaxy for the heroes, is actually a bad guy. So that has to shake them to the foundations of their core. It's like, man, I mean, what do they do from here on out? Who do you believe? I think meeting a smuggler, Lando, in the last episode, Idiot's Array, I think they found out they can trust him more than they can people who are coming off as their friends and alliance.
Yep.
So how many people, I wonder, has this guy brought, to people to their death,
Quite a bit.
So I thought this is one of the stronger episodes that I've seen, of Rebels. Just because I really do think that now our crew are going to think twice. There's going to be some really influential people coming around in episodes. Mon Mothma is out there. We have senators from Alderaan.
We have this guy too.
Yeah, this asshole.
And he's my friend. Leave him alone.
He's your friend?
Yeah.
My bad, Darth. But so yeah, I don't know, man. There are going to be some very influential good guys approaching them. And
bad guys.
Yeah, and bad guys. But I mean, if you're part of the Rebels, are you like Mon Mothma comes up, or some big people of the Rebel Alliance, the main founding core members of the Alliance? Are you going to trust them after seeing what this guy did to you?
You're going to have to.
Yeah, but you're going to think twice too, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're going to sleep with one eye open with these people around you.
You better.
So I bet you they feel more alone than they ever have. So I guess it was a blank, right? The gun.
Mm-hmm.
And, Kanan...
Well, they actually turned off.
Yeah, they turned off, yeah. So Kanan and they leave. The senator gets left behind. Kanan comes down and he stops the fan with some Jedi smooth tricks,
Mm-hmm.
And so they escape. And then Ezra turns around and he just sees the senator, sitting on his ass.
In that glare.
And just gives him the stare of death. And so that has to be rough for Ezra too, So then they get back to the ghost alive, very close to getting killed themselves. They get back to the ghost, and he tells Kanan, his master, that man, you told me to trust in these visions, and I thought these visions were true. I thought I had them pegged, but man, I didn't. The visions didn't happen. I didn't have the full vision of everything that was going to go on. And Kanan tells him, man, visions are a difficult thing. You really have to be in tune, I think, with the Force to, I think that we see Ezra growing in the Force, and that's good, but he still has a long way to go.
Oh, yes.
And Ezra asked Kanan at the end of that episode, he's like, when was the last vision that you had, Kanan? And he doesn't really tell him, does he?
No, he doesn't.
He says something about a bratty little boy,
mm-hmm.
Which probably referring to Ezra. And I'm curious if that was actually a vision or not.
Probably wasn't. So I don't even know. Maybe he hasn't had a vision, or maybe it's been a long time. But what I love about Kanan is he doesn't know how to be a real master. No.
Because he's not a true Jedi yet himself.
No.
He's learning at the same time that Ezra's learning. So...
which holds Ezra back.
Yeah. So I really love
this.
Which
is good.
Yeah, which is good. I really like this episode. I thought it was a good episode. What do you think?
It was one of the better ones.
Yeah. What do you think your favorite scene in this episode was?
When Ezra finds out the senator is a traitor.
Yeah, that's pretty raw. I mean, because we've discussed that before. I mean, that's going to bring the entire crew of the Ghost, down a peg. Because they're fighting so hard. They're fighting against the Empire, and they feel like they're the only ones out there. So I think that was a crucial turning point for this series. Just going out there alone, wondering if there's anybody else out there, putting a thorn in the side of the Empire. My favorite scene was at the very beginning, seeing Ezra have that vision, and he's deflecting those blaster shots, and it's just a very artistic style of, him going into that trance, seeing those visions, and then, afterwards finding out that he deflected every single shot. Because then you look back at Rise of the Old Masters, and the beginning of that was pretty much the same thing. They're throwing everything they have at him, and he's on top of a ship, and he's missing everything, And so I think he's getting stronger, He's learning a little bit more about the Force. I thought that was really good. I really enjoyed the beginning there. I love seeing the Ghost. The Ghost is beautiful, beautiful ship. What are some things that didn't work in this episode, do you think?
One thing that I'd say is the second best part is whenever he found out that the senator had something to do with his parents' death.
Oh, yeah, because he tells him that, because we don't really know too much about that yet, because he says that, the senator says that, his parents were one of the first people
They were the voice of the rebels.
Yeah, the voice of the rebels, and he says that they died because they didn't join the Empire, like himself, as a turncoat. Yeah, so there's a lot of, this is, geared towards kids, but I think there's a lot of content in here for adults as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I really like this show. There's definitely some filler episodes, early on in the season, but this show is really progressing in a nice way. What are some things that you don't think that worked in this episode? What do you think about that? I already said one. Stormtroopers. I understand that these guys are cannon fodder. Okay, I totally understand that. But again, stormtroopers aren't all gonna be dumb. These guys didn't give a shat about where Ezra was.
Nope.
They go around. We're gonna show you the scene. So check this out. They don't even look. They stop. Look behind the crates, guys. Don't be assholes about it. Look for the kid, right?
That's it.
And you said something that was very interesting the first time that we watched this episode. That the senator looked like
David
Niven. And, I heard you say that, and I didn't really know who David Niven was. After you said that, I looked him up and I actually did. David Niven is an awesome actor. He's an English actor, by the way. And I think you're onto something. I looked it up. David Niven, Rebels, Easter eggs, and I couldn't find anything that, they actually used or were inspired by him. But look at this. He looks exactly like David Niven, Gal Travis. Identical. Check these out, okay? David Niven, Gal Travis, okay? So, something interesting to note, Alex Guinness, okay, which was Obi-Wan, right?
Obi-Wan, yes.
English actor, okay? Count Dooku, okay? Christopher Lee, English actor. You have the guy who plays Tarkin. His name escapes me right now, but
English actor.
So you have all these older English actors, and then you bring in David Niven, as this character that is an old senator. It just makes perfect sense that they had to do that on purpose.
Of course.
Another older English actor, And just a quick shout out. Check out a movie called Stairway to Heaven, or it's also called A Matter of Life and Death. It's an old English movie starring David Niven. Great movie. Classic. Check it out. But yeah, I don't think they had to do that on purpose.
Of course.
Yeah, so another thing, man, you're really crapping here, aren't you? One thing that I really need to point out, though, is see what you think about this, okay? One problem I have with this series, and I'm going to call it out now, and if any of you Rebels producers are listening, we got to get off of Lothal, right?
Yes.
We kind of leave for a second, but we don't. I would love to see these characters interact with Coruscant, Tatooine. Jabba is probably in charge somewhere out there right now.
Well, of course.
And they've already brought in some Lando and Obi-Wan and, some of these other actors. I'd like to see them, be introduced to Boba Fett in passing. They brought in C-3PO, R2-D2. But let's get off of Lothal. There's a huge, huge universe out there. Let's not stall this, this franchise just on Lothal. And I do like Lothal. I think Lothal is a pretty cool planet. And being canon, I like that Lothal, Tatooine, Coruscant, all these cool the places are out there. I think it fits into the Star Wars universe. I really appreciate Lothal. But let's stretch our legs a little bit. Let's get out there. If you're Rebels, you just can't be spinning around.
Don't handicap where you're going to be.
Yeah, don't. And I guess some of it does kind of make sense because, Idiots Array. They bet Chopper because they needed some fuel and some food, for the Ghost. So I'm glad they did point that out. Some major respect there because at least they have pointed out that they need fuel. They need food and fuel. And so maybe that's why they're not getting off Lothal. But come on, they need a big job. They need a big job so they can stretch their legs and become, a little bit deeper into the universe.
True Rebels.
Yeah, true Rebels. And one more thing I'm going to point out, and is that is let's point out the troopers. Oh yeah, this guy. Okay, him and Agent Callus. Okay, Agent Callus comes in here. You know, when they meet the senator, they got their guns drawn. It's a perfect ambush. Could you get more perfect ambush than that?
Yeah, have him here.
Yeah, have him here, right? But I mean, it was a decent ambush, right? What do you give that ambush out of 10?
About a 9.
Yeah, I mean that's a 9 ambush, okay? And if Agent Callus, you know, this major, what is his role in the Empire? I mean, he's a badass. You know, he comes in, but
he's a policeman.
Yeah, but then in the Inquisitor, how many times has the Inquisitor ran into the rebels? 3, 4 times?
About that.
You know, Agent Callus 4 or 5 times, and something has to happen soon. There has to be a death, or they have
a major confrontation.
Yeah, major confrontation. You know, they can't just keep showing up, staging perfect ambushes, and
disappearing,
and just letting the rebels escape in the sewers.
Nope.
You know, pretty soon I'm going to call bullshit every time he pops up. I'm going to call bullshit every time Agent Callus pops up. You know, so there's going to have to be a major reveal. There's going to have to be some hurt on that ship.
Yep.
And what do you think about, who do you think gets the less screen time out of our rebels? Kanan? Yeah, man, I love Kanan though, man. He's so awesome. You know who I think gets the less screen time? And you might disagree with this, but I don't like Sabine. You like Sabine, don't you?
Yeah.
See, I don't like Sabine.
She has a role.
Yeah, but I don't think she has
because she's more in the background. She's more of a demolitions person.
Yeah, and that would be okay if we seen her do some more demolition. Because they had that one episode where she did some of that paint, and then the paint exploded. She has explosives in her paint. You know, I need to see more of her role. You know, if not, then she needs to. I don't know. If you could pick one person on the ship that you think would turn by the end of this season, you know, who do you think would be the most influential? Zeb, really? I think, and that's another thing. I think Sabine. I would like to see them come in and take Sabine and turn her, give her character some kind of role, just a little bit deeper. But Zeb, you know what I want to see coming before this season ends? Zeb and Agent Callus. Because remember how Agent Callus had those weapons, and they both have that same kind of weapon, that bow. I want to see both them square off before end of season. I want to see Inquisitor cause some damage. I want to see Agent Callus cause some damage. I want to see the crew hurt, where they're in their darkest.
Oh, it's got to happen.
It's got to happen, right? Because if not, I mean, I don't think our characters can grow.
The show's over
without some adversity, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to kick some ass soon. And if he's going to be a threat, I mean, look at this guy. This guy's a scary dude, right? He's your friend.
Yeah.
He's scary. He's got to cause some damage. So there's a couple mishaps in this episode, but overall, I give it 4 out of 5. What do you give it?
Same.
4 out of 5? Is that your scale?
Yep.
1 through 5? So I give it 4 out of 5. I thought it was a decent episode. I think it's one of the better episodes just because overall, this episode, the reason I give it such a high score, we get some deeper training with Ezra. Kanan is learning more himself to be a master.
Find out about the senator.
You find out about the senator, and that this person that they have so much faith in turned out to be a bad guy.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on in this episode that I think really pushes this episode forward.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm excited about next week, aren't you?
Okay.
So all right, man. Well, that's all we have for today. Check out Rebels. I really think it's a decent show. If you're kind of detoured because it's a kid's show, watch it. I mean, there's definitely some filler episodes, definitely. But I think if you give it a chance, there's a lot to like here, and it's all canon. So everything that we mentioned here could show up in episode 7, could show up in episode 8, 9, hard telling where it's going to go. So peace out. Have a good one. Like us, click us, check us, whatever. Peace.